some information on cyber threats, 2017, the year in review. I'd like to call on Rick Lee from Business Solutions Consulting Manager of Digital Forensics of SaskTel to speak on Cyber Threats 2017, the year in review. Rick Lee was a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police for 25 years and retired as the member in charge of Integrated Technological Crime Unit in Regina. He has spent the last 15 years at SaskTel, initially in corporate security, and then started up the business sales and solutions of Digital Forensic Unit, offering incident response and digital forensic services to SaskTel customers. Rick has been involved in digital forensics for over 20 years and has qualified as an expert witness in the provincial court system of Saskatchewan and the Saskatchewan Court of Queen's Bench. He was the first on-case certified examiner in Canada and has spoken at conferences across North America, in Belgium and China as well. Please welcome Rick Lee.
Okay, the presentation's up. Is there a clicker to move it on, to advance it? Yep, that works. Alrighty, I think we're all set to go. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for having me come and speak to you today. It's a fairly high-level talk, so we'll try to make it so it's not too complicated to understand. There is the odd technical part, and I'll try to explain that in such a way that it'll be easy for you to understand. So as an introduction, as indicated, I started off with the RCMP. I actually opened up the tech crime unit within the province of Saskatchewan. Spent 25 years there. Got the opportunity to go to SaskTel, and sort of half my salary for waking up in the morning plus getting paid. Yeah, that sounded like a pretty good idea at the time. So I've been doing this for 20 years, and we'll get started here. So we'll start off with why people hack. So why people are trying to get into your networks. We have the white hat hackers. I think this goes off the old cowboy films. We had the white hats and the black hats. We even have some gray hats. But the white hats are the ones that are you pay to actually break into your network so you can determine if there are any vulnerabilities, any ways that people can get into your network. We have the gray hats, who are the ones that sort of sit on the side of the fence, and they could be good, they could be bad, but some have questionable ethics. Oops. Then we have the black hats. They're the ones that are after your money. This includes organized crime. And then we have the script kiddies. Script kiddies are the ones that are the wannabe hackers. They'll go to websites, they'll download tools, they'll find a web page they want to try to get into, and then they'll run those tools against it and see if they have any success or not. We have hacktivists. Those are the ones that motivated by politics, religion, or they just don't like you for some reason. Maybe you're a bank that wouldn't give them a loan, and they just figure they're going to try and see if they can do something to take down your network. We have state-sponsored, or what are referred to as the advanced persistent threat. Those include places like China is probably the #1 most active in that area. But they have limitless time, funding. They get people out of university. They hire them to come and try to break into your networks. And they'll do it for political reasons. They'll do it for economic reasons, help their businesses out, or whatever the case may be. We have spy hackers, which are people that will actually try to break into your network to grab your intellectual property so that they can use it themselves. And then we have cyber terrorists. And a good example of that was the end of 2016 in the Ukraine. They actually took down the power grid so that everybody lost their access to power, and that pretty much takes you back to the Stone Ages. But what they want to do is they want to disrupt critical infrastructure, and their motivation is to spread fear like any terrorist does. And we have people that will go between, like we have spy hackers that will grab intellectual property that are part of an advanced persistent threat group. So they can mingle between them. 2017, this is from hackmageddon.com, and it's a site that looks at publicly where people publicly mentioned that they've been hacked, and it's not going to be everybody. So these aren't total statistics. These aren't everybody that's been hacked, but these are the ones that have publicly come out and said they were hacked. They go into, they have 4 different categories they use: cybercrime, cyber espionage, hacktivism, and cyber warfare. Again, cyber warfare would be an advanced persistent threat type group. And if you want to stop an army from, matter of fact, back when I first started in tech crime, there was an operation that was done where in the US they wanted to get a couple of hackers using just ordinary tools and just see what they could do to disrupt the army or the armed forces in the United States. Well, they sent all of the equipment to one coast and they sent all the people to the other coast. Makes it pretty hard to fight a war. So it's very easy to do if you know what you're doing. And you can see that there isn't a day goes by that somebody isn't being hacked somewhere. Most common attacks include phishing. A phishing attack is where, as the attacker, I'll send an email out. If it's just a widespread phishing attack, I'll send out thousands of emails that have a link to a compromised site that if you go to it, you're going to get malware on your system. Or it could be a spear phishing attack where I've decided that I want to get into your company and I'm going to target your executive, maybe your IT department. And again, when you click on that link or open up that attached file, I'm now going to have malware on your system and I'm going to own your network in very short order. Ransomware is the latest trend that's out there, and for very good reason. Their goal is to make money. If I can encrypt all the data on your network and make it, and you need that data, you're going to pay me to get that data back. And they use Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, and as a result, you can't trace it back to who actually encrypted your data in the first place. Malware is just software that you get on your system that can do any number of things. It create a backdoor so they can come into your network. It could steal data. It could do identity theft, take all of your email. There's a number of different things you can do with it. A distributed denial of service attack is where, as the attacker, for some reason, maybe someone's paid me to take you offline, or another case where they'll use this is if they want to attack your network and actually get into your network, they'll do a distributed denial of service attack to get your mind away from what I'm doing on the other side, where I'm trying to break into your network. At the same time, I'm going to take down your web page or your access to the internet. And what they do is they use what botnet armies, where someone has gone out and hacked a whole bunch of computers, usually end-user computers. And what they'll do is they get control of them. They don't do anything with them a while, but they'll have out on the dark web, they'll say, I can supply 100,000 computers to take down a network for you. And you then pay them. They bring up these 100,000 botnet computers that they have, and they all just send packets at the web page. And if it gets enough packets going to it, it's going to take it offline because the computer just can't respond fast enough. Account hijacking is where somebody gets in and steals your Facebook account, your LinkedIn account, and they'll use it to send out emails to people as you, and again, usually with malware or something attached to it. Targeted attack is where, as an example, a good friend of mine, Kevin Mandia, who's now the CEO of FireEye, started up a company called Mandiant. And they're probably the #1 firm in North America that does this type of work. He went to one breach where it was actually an LED company that was creating LED lights. And he thought, this is a company the guy should invest in because it was really good technology. They were doing, half of the work was done in the United States, the other half was done in China. They kept the intellectual property part that they needed in the United States. China wanted to do all of it for them. They wanted to produce the lights entirely for them. And they said, no, we're going to keep half our intellectual property in the United States. They got hacked. China's now producing the lights, and the company's not worth anywhere near what it was at one time. So that's just an example of where advanced persistent threat's going to go out and get intellectual property to help their businesses out. And China's really good at doing that. Web defacement, it's pretty obvious. I go onto your website and I change what's on there to a message that I want to send out. SQL injection, again, is an attack on a web page usually, and they get onto your computer, and once there, they then go after your database that has the credit card information, has the information that could be used for identity theft and that type of stuff. And DNS hijacking is, DNS is domain name service, and when you go on the internet and you type in www.royalbank.com, that's not how your information actually gets to that site. It goes to a DNS server that then says the address for that is actually 204.168.24.135. That's like the street address for your house, right? It's, there's only one, it only goes to one location, and but it's not something you could easily remember if you were trying to go on the internet. Again from Hackmageddon, this is the top 10 attacks. We can see that malware rose dramatically. That's the #1 way people are getting attacked right now. Usually through a phishing attack. You go click on a link, you download or you open up an attachment, and the malware gets loaded onto your system. Unknown attacks, this is where somebody knows they've been hacked, but they're not sure how they were hacked. Account hijacking's gone up a little bit. Targeted attacks have gone up quite a bit in 2017. Distributed denial of service has fallen off. Vulnerabilities found within an operating system or on a website have gone down a bit. Malvertising, that's where when you go to a website and you click on the link to some product that you want to see, and what happens is you then download, while you're looking at that piece of information that you want to look at, you're also downloading malware onto your system. SQL injection down, and other about the same. Some breaches in relation to Canada. According to breachlevelindex.com, there were at least 33 publicly reported Canadian data breaches in 2017. And again, these are publicly acknowledged hacking incidents. There were lots where the people didn't actually, there's all kinds where people don't say that they've been hacked, because as of right now, there are no requirements, legal requirements to report if your company or your corporation, your government entity has been hacked or not. But of those, Nissan Canada lost 1.13 million records, their finance department. Tayo Networks, which is a subsidiary of PayPal, which is a way of buying things on the internet, paying for it, which is based out of Vancouver, lost 1.6 million records. Bell Canada, 1.9 million. Dalhousie University, 20,000. McDonald's Canada, 95,000 job applicant records. So if you're looking for identity theft information, nothing better than a job application. Then the following companies didn't disclose the actual number of records that got exposed, but were hacked: Canadian Tire, Shoppers Drug Mart, several casinos, Loblaws, and WestJet. So the advanced persistent threat. This is probably the greatest threat out there to corporations and government. It's a set of stealthy, continuous computer hacking processes, often, actually always orchestrated by humans targeting a specific entity. It usually targets organizations or nations for business or political motives. Process requires a high degree of covertness for a long period of time. Once they get in, they want to get into your network without you knowing about it, and they want to stay there forever. Again, talking to my friend Kevin, when they go to a site, typically they deal with Fortune 500 companies. Typically there's at least 50 computers that have been compromised within their network. And what they're doing is, that way, if something should happen, they find 1 or 2 of them, even find 35, 40 of them. They still got 10 that you can get back into the network on. They will successfully compromise any target it desires. If they want into your network, they're going to get into your network. It doesn't matter if you have firewalls in place, what your technology is, and we'll get into some of that in a little bit more detail in a bit here. But if they want into your network, they're getting in, which should make everybody really nervous. The advanced process signifies sophisticated techniques using malware to exploit vulnerabilities in systems. Persistence suggests that there's an external command and control feature and somebody's extracting data on a regular basis from your networks. And the threat indicates that it's actually a human doing the work and it's not some botnet that's out there that's just randomly gathering information off networks. Again, dealing with the state-sponsored attacks, the four most active as of right now are China, Russia, North Korea, and believe it or not, it's Iran is the fourth one. In 2017, Russia did several cyber attacks on the Ukraine. And here's some really encouraging news for you. On October 31st, 2017, CBC News had an article where the information from the Communications Security Establishment, the CSE, which is the Canadian version of the NSA, NSA being the ones that do all the monitoring of electronic data in the States, said that Canadian government computer networks are hit by state-sponsored cyber attacks about 50 times a week. Of those, at least one usually is successful. So they're getting into the network, they're stealing data, they're doing something in there, they're monitoring what's going on. Between 2013 and 2015, the Government of Canada detected, on average, 2,500 state-sponsored cyber activities against its networks each year. So it's happening all the time. So if you figure at least one of these is being successful a week, that's 52 successful attacks by other countries getting into our networks. And if you want, it's probably more likely 2 or 3 are being successful. You're probably talking somewhere to 100, 150 successful attacks on the Canadian network. Early 2010, you may recall that Google actually said that they had been hacked. It was in the news. It was big information. At the same time they were attacked, Adobe, Yahoo, Symantec, Northrop Grumman, Dow Chemical, Juniper Networks, and Rackspace were also attacked in the same, from the same group in China. Late 2010, they targeted the Government of Canada Finance Department, Toronto law offices, Saskatchewan potash companies, and the Government of Saskatchewan. That's when BHP Billington was looking to buy part of Potash Corp. Well, what they wanted to do was, one, the Finance Department, Canadian Government Finance Department has to approve it. Government has to approve that merger if it was going to happen. Toronto law offices are going to be involved in the legal portion of that. Of course, the potash companies are going to have information about it, and as well as the Government of Saskatchewan. All of these places have admitted that they've been hacked, or they were hacked during that, that time frame. And if you look at the chart there, you'll see this is one advanced persistent threat group called APT1 that Mandiant put out a report on. It's about a 60-page report. And this is one group out of China that is attacking, breaching people's networks. And those are the different types of organizations that are breaching. Everything from telecommunications, government, satellite, you name it. They're not very particular. They're going pretty much after anything that's out there. Also around that time, October 18th, 2016, in securityweek.com, which is a website based, deals with computer security, I said, Canada very concerned about Russia hacking. The Foreign Minister, Stéphane Dion, was very concerned about possible Russian hacking following the U.S. accusations against the Kremlin. That was all relation to the hacking of Hillary Clinton's emails and things like that. He was very concerned about Canada becoming the next target of Russian cyber attacks and called for a safe and free cyberspace. I'm not just quite sure how he was intending to do that, but it's certainly a good goal. But you would be a fool to think that Russia wasn't already attacking us at that time. Canadian Public Safety Minister Ralph Goodale said the government is reviewing its cyber capabilities to protect critical systems such as banking, noting that there have been incidents in Canada in the past where systems have been breached on a daily basis. So it's not something new if you're in the industry to know these things are happening all the time. And it says Canadians per capita are online more than any other population in the world. So this is something of importance to Canadians. So when somebody wants to hack your network, how do you do it? Well, you start off with the initial compromise. They get into your network, typically on a phishing attack or something like that, where they're going to send you that email. You click on a link, and once you've done that, your system's compromised. Most computer networks go with the theory they have the hard shell and the soft GUI inside. So you've got your firewalls and everything on all your points of access to the internet. But once you get inside of a network, you can pretty much go where you want. So once they get into your network, they're going to go wherever they want. They're going to look around and see what you've got. They establish a foothold, so then they start compromising those other computers that I talked about. They're going to escalate their privileges because they don't want to just be Joe Blow user. They want to be the administrator. They want to have root access if you're on a Linux type system. They do internal reconnaissance. They go see where the databases are, where the important information is, the trade secrets, whatever is of value to them. They'll move laterally around in your network, again, compromising other hosts. And they're going to maintain their presence by leaving things behind that'll allow them to get into your network if you should find them and try to kick them out. Again, one breach that I know of, 50 systems were compromised. One system, its only purpose was to once a year, it would come to life, send out a packet saying, here I am. So that if they found the other 49 compromised systems, this one once a year would give them a way back into the network, and they'd start all over again. And then they're going to complete their mission. They're going to take all the data that they found that's of value. They're going to move it to a server that referred to as a staging server. They're going to compress it using typically RAR, which is like WinZip, to compress it. And then they're going to export it out to another server that they've compromised somewhere, and then they'll go and collect that data from there. From a pictorial look at it, we have the threat actor going to his right. We have the intelligence gathering. They may not even go near your network when they're doing that intelligence gathering. They're going to use open source intelligence tools to go out and just do Google searches and things like that to find out information about your network. They're going to go, they may go to your site and take a look at your annual report, find out who the chief executive officer are, who the other executives are in your, on your board of directors. Then they're going to go to LinkedIn. They're going to go there and they're going to find out who your admin assistant is, or all the other people that you deal with that are people you're associating with. Once they've done all that, then they'll figure out how they're going to use a phishing attack to attack your network, which is going to be the point of entry. Once they've got that one person, and again, remember, if they send out 100 emails or 1,000 emails, they only need one person to click on that link or to open that attachment to compromise your network. So once they've done that, then that piece of malware is going to go out to the CNC server, which is the command and control server, and say, yeah, I'm available, come on in. The threat actor is going to see that. He's then going to send instructions through the command and control server to that one that's at the point of entry, and it's going to start attacking your network. They'll start doing the lateral movement, going around, figuring out how many servers they can attack, where all the good data is, and then they're going to take that data, export it out to the external server, and then the bad guy goes to that to get the information. Distributed denial of service attack on the DIN impacts Twitter, Spotify, and Reddit. This was a cartoon that was put out in October of 2016. The DIN domain name server was taken offline with a denial of service attack, and that made it so that people couldn't get to Twitter, Spotify, Reddit, and a number of other agencies or websites that people wanted to go to. So the cartoon just has, and it was done by the things that were attacking, that were sending the packets, were things from the Internet of Things, right? So it was things like your Hue lights that you've got on that you can control with your phone, webcams, and in the cartoon, the one I like is send me $25 or I'll tell everyone on your social network that you were stupid enough to buy an internet-connected broom. But this actually happened. It was called the Mirai attack. And it compromised things that were connected to the Internet of Things, things in people's homes that were connected to the Internet, and used them to do their distributed denial of service. Some interesting statistics. Number of cyber attacks doubled in 2017. And with the new breach notification laws that are coming into effect, we're going to see even more. 39% of malware attacks were undetected by traditional antivirus software. Antivirus software is something that you have to have, but it's not going to stop all of the attacks that are coming against your computer. The average breakout time was 1 hour and 58 minutes. The breakout time is the time from the moment that first computer is compromised till they're doing lateral movement and going around your network looking for information. Prime ransomware targets were government and healthcare. What better place to encrypt data and get money for it than a hospital, because they need that data and they need it right now. So they will typically pay up right away. Canada received 7% of the large distributed denial of service attacks over 10 gigabytes per second, which is 5th in the world. So it does happen to us. In the private sector, systems and networks are typically compromised for 200 or more days before the owners become aware of the breach, which means they're running around in your network for 200 days before you even know they're there. And that's on people that have, that's on corporations that have good computer security in place. 6 million Australians fell victim to cybercrime in 2017, costing the economy $2.3 billion. 1 in 3 Australian adults were compromised. Cost of a breach, global cost of cybercrime jumped to $600 billion in 2017. Breach level index indicated that nearly 5 million records are lost or stolen every day, 58 records every second. The 3 biggest last year were Equifax, Verizon, and Kmart. IBM Security and Ponemon Institute do a study every year on cybercrime, the cost of it. Canada was the 2nd most expensive country for malicious data breaches out of 13 regions around the world. 48% of data breaches involved a malicious attack. Average cost of the data breach was $5.78 million, $255 per record on average. And then you get into things like, how do you value your reputation? If I'm the Royal Bank and I get hacked and I tell the news that, yeah, we were hacked, but we've resolved the issue, we've kicked them out, and I'm Scotiabank, we were hacked at the same time by the same group, but I don't tell you about it, there will be people that will move their money from the Royal Bank to Scotiabank just because they believe it to be a safer location. BPIDA breach notification, these are draft regulations that are coming out this year, apparently. And this is the type of information that has to be relayed to the government, to the commissioner, privacy commissioner, should you have a breach of your network. Predictions for 2018, the dark web and cybercrime economy offer new services using automation. If you go to the dark web, there's a service out there called FUD, which is fully undetected. You send them your attackware, your malware, and then they will give you a report saying what antivirus engines or what security measures actually found it. So you know whether or not your stuff is going to work when you put it out in the wild. Next-gen morphic malware. Right now we have polymorphic malware out there that will change because antivirus uses what's referred to as a hash value typically to identify it. So what that is it's an algorithm that you run against the file and it comes out with about a 32-bit alphanumeric number that is unique to that piece of malware or that piece of code. So what they do is they use that as the antivirus tool to find it. The polymorphic stuff, what it does is that every time it goes to a new location, it changes something. And you only have to change 1 bit in that code to completely change the hash value. So that makes it easy to make it so people can't find it. With the new stuff that's coming out, it's a case of where they're using automation and built-in intelligence to actually target it for the site that it's going to go to next, so to make it more difficult to find. The rise of self-learning hive nets and swarm bots, again using artificial intelligence and gathered information to make it so that it can attack people more easily, as opposed to just the normal botnet. And it doesn't require the same human interaction for it to do the attack as a botnet does. Ransom of commercial services, big business. If you want to do ransomware on something and you want to encrypt data and get people to pay for it. Rather than going to all those hospitals, why not go to the cloud services where you've got 100, 200, maybe 1,000 different organizations that are part of that cloud service. If you can encrypt them all, you've just made yourself a fortune. Again, cloud storage just based attacks. If I'm going to get into that cloud network, that cloud environment, there's a lot of data there that could be valuable to me. Critical infrastructure is going to see more attacks against it. You're going to see people taking down power, telephone, energy, those type of things. And the software update supply chain attacks. If you have software, you know you always get those notifications that there's a new update for it. Well, there was one tool out there recently called CC Cleaner, which is used to take information off your computer and make it so it's not recoverable. It's a tool used by a lot of admins. Well, notification came out saying that there was a new upgrade. People upgraded, and in the process, they put malware on their system. So it's just another way of getting the malware out there. And the other thing about supply chains is, and this is why a lot of places are targets that aren't aware that they would be a good target, is if you have a trust relationship with the government, for example, if I can take out your network, I can get a hold of your network, get in there, compromise your identity, I can then use that to attack the other agency or their government. So I can come in through you. You might not have the same security that the government of Saskatchewan does, but I can come in through you and attack them that way. And I'm 3 minutes over, so there's my contact information. The slide presentation apparently will be made available to you, so you'll be able to have all those slides and our contact information. I will be at our trade booth for the next couple hours. If anybody has any questions or wants to talk, feel free to come and see me. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rick.
Oh, no problem.
Interesting.